our $100,000 worth of soap is sitting there just rotting, and now I've got about 2 years to sell it, but they're not doing anything. As much as we explain to them that we are a real brand, here is our trademark, they're not doing anything. And it's killing us.
Lunch with Norm.
Hey everybody, it's Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. Today we're going to be discussing the changing dynamic for Western brands on Amazon. Also, the FTC's recent fine of $600,000 against the brand, combining reviews with variations. That's going to be very interesting. If Amazon has really become a pay-to-play platform and current supply and shipping issues. Welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. All right, so we are going to be all over the map today. I'm sure we're going to be going down a bunch of different rabbit holes, but topic is the changing dynamic for Western brands on Amazon. Now, this is interesting because you've always heard the expression, birds of a feather flock together. Well, this is so true when it comes to my guest today. Ritu Java and my guest, who is her partner, Bernie Thompson, are both just really nice people and very intelligent people as well. So when I hear that expression, I think of what they're doing and how they formed a partnership together because they are just good people and intelligent. Anyways, our guest is an American entrepreneur, and he is the founder of Pluggable Technologies. He started it in 2009 in Redmond, Washington, with a focus on creating high-quality computer peripherals that are affordable and easy to use. He's the co-founder of PPC Ninja with Ritu Java, let's hook that back just a bit. The advertising agency and software automation provider, and author of the book Flywheels and Feedback Loops: A Guide to Success for Amazon Sellers. My guest, first-time guest, Bernie Thompson, and I can't wait to talk to him, but let's have a word from the sponsor.
I want to thank Jeff Schick Legal for sponsoring this episode of Lunch with Norm. You've probably heard on the podcast about Amazon suspensions. They're very real. It can happen at any time. And when it does happen, how do you get out of it? How does the little guy like you and me get out of these suspensions without paying an arm and a leg in legal fees? This is where Jeff Schick Legal is here to help. For a very low monthly retainer, for only $89, get access to Amazon attorney Jeff Schick. That's right. You can sit back, relax, enjoy that cup of coffee while listening to the Lunch with Norm podcast, knowing that you have an advocate and a partner in your business success. But wait, just mention Lunch with Norm and receive 50% off the first 2 months. Get the protection you need and visit jeffschick.com today. That's JEFFSCHICK.com. Now let's get back to the show.
Welcome, Bernie.
Hey, Norm. So great to be on with you. And, thanks for everything you've been doing these last few years with getting great content and great education out. I mean, this is, we're going to talk today kind of about the state of play for Western brands, but Amazon is, this huge opportunity. E-commerce is this huge opportunity, but it's also tough. So the kind of education you're doing, through this show and other things really helps people. So I just wanted to start with that. Thank you, Norm.
Well, thank you. No, I appreciate that. It's sometimes challenging, but at the end of the day, it also helps me. So being able to provide all this content allows me to keep on top of things myself. So, with my brand, which is kind of cool. Now it's just applying, what's funny, Bernie, is you get all this information at the end of every podcast, and there's some people that you just have, there's 10 nuggets there. How do I apply it? And I fall into the same thing that a lot of Amazon sellers fall into, is making sure that you apply. Because if you don't take action all you're doing is saying, wow, that's good information, but you don't get anything out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I've been at this since 2009. And in 2009, I kind of had this question of, could I build a better device company? And I didn't know it would have such a close association with this kind of rise of Amazon. But as it turns out, starting in 2009, that kind of naturally happened. But gosh, as I look back, I look at all the different things that were happening and kind of the things I chose to focus on and the things I didn't choose to focus on, because there's always too much. And I can see all these missed opportunities. There's a bunch of things I did right too. We've actually, the brand that I run, I'm very excited to, do the Norm deals with these is Pluggable Technologies, which is one of the largest global electronics brands for USB products. And we've grown every year for 14 years, but within that are a lot of mistakes, in addition to some good decisions.
And that we talk about that being paying your Amazon tax. Nobody gets it. Well, there's very, very few people that get it right the first time. I know I'm still learning every time there's a launch. Oh, what could we have done better? And you know what's funny? You talk about, did I take the right path? When I first got into Amazon, I don't think I've ever shared this story, but I thought, okay, let's get into beauty products. Let's get into soap. My first major mistake was not understanding the marketplace as well as I should have, and it was price point. So I launched with a $10 soap, and it took a while before I started to say, oh, well, maybe I'll make it a 3-pack rather than a 1-pack. But they put me into, what was it called? Add-ons. So people weren't even able to add it on to their cart. And so that was number one. But number two was I had my buddy who actually introduced me into Amazon, Riz Lakhani. He said, oh, let's partner up. Let's do this essential oil. And so I said, oh, you know what? Why don't we do that? I'll do my thing. You do your thing. And within months, he was doing like $250,000 a month in essential oils. And I was still struggling with these $10 bars of soap. I was selling a lot of them, but I was making no money. And it was like one of those, oh man, Riz, can I come in? And, no, it's too late now.
Yeah, and there's so much great information out there, podcasts like yours. And, it's getting a bit old now, but I wrote a book on how to succeed on Amazon called Flywheels and Feedback Loops. It was written around 2016. So about half of it's still relevant, about half probably isn't. But there's lots of great information out there. But in the end, the Amazon game, since it's so competitive, changes so much every year that whether you started when I did in 2009 or starting now, you have to have this kind of mindset of failing fast, learning fast, trying things. I mean, basically that's what we talk about all day long is what's our next test that we're going to run
Right.
to figure out, what's working today. So everybody's in that same boat.
Yeah, I agree. And again, going back to that initial comment is there's a lot of things that happen here. You've got to pick and choose what you want to have. And just like going to a conference, like if you hear 10 different action items or items that you like, a couple of nuggets, you have to pick and be selective because you can't do everything. So let's say we're talking about wholesale, or if we're talking about drop shipping, or if we're talking about whatever it is, maybe it's PPC. Ritu comes on and drops a ton of knowledge. What piece do I at least take something and take action on? Maybe it's nothing, the whole podcast. And that's fine. This show is just giving options to people. But anyways, there was an article out, and you mentioned this, and I want to talk about this. And that goes back to the first thing that we were talking about today. So what's happening with the FTC's recent fine of $600,000 against the supplement brand combining reviews and variations? Now, this is very interesting. So if you haven't heard about it, guys, this is very interesting what happened.
Yeah, it's kind of big news and frankly a little bit scary news. I mean, we were talking about trying things. Well, one of the things you do is you look at what your competitors are doing on Amazon, and you look at what Amazon themselves do with their own products, and then you model yourself after that. Well, one of the things that has been extremely common on Amazon, including with Amazon Basics and other Amazon exclusive brands, is that when you're launching a new product, and it is even remotely similar to some other products you have already that are very successful, that you put them in what's called a variation relationship, a parent-child relationship. Amazon's system then will show that ACE in detail page for any of those children as one page with one combined set of reviews. And so it's extremely powerful for new product launches, a huge leg up. Being able to launch a product with, combined with, one or two other products with 1,000 reviews versus launching a product with no reviews, no social proof. So, this has been going on since we started, like in 2009. When I figured out what variations were and what Amazon was trying to do there, and I forgot even if they had any guidance at the time, I thought, okay, well, if any of our products are close enough that, really the customer experience is going to be the same between the products, it's the same technology, we're electronic, so same compatibility, all of that, then a variation relationship makes sense. And then, so I was following this kind of very conservative, kind of in the interest of the customer strategy with variations. And then around 2011, Amazon Basics did a big line expansion in my area. Basically, a bunch of products where we were category leaders, Amazon Basics was launching new products there. And guess what they do? Total apples and oranges, these USB hubs that have nothing to do with each other. They're all USB hubs, but totally different technology, totally different chipsets, very different customer experiences. They throw them all in a variation relationship because they know, Amazon knows, that this is a huge advantage to launch. And I'm like, what do I do as a brand now? Because, I'm trying to follow this strategy that's in the interest of the customer. And then this marketplace that I compete on, the standard they set is this standard of, push the limits to get these reviews. So that's 10 years ago. What happened last week? Well, for the first time, the FTC fined a company, as you said, a supplements company, $600,000 for doing this exact thing, which, by the way, is all over Amazon. I mean, if you basically look around on Amazon, you can find lots of products and variation relationships that shouldn't be. If you really look at it from the customer perspective, the customer is being deceived by these products being their reviews being grouped together. It raises a bunch of tough issues for brands. So first off, what do I do if I'm somebody who's aggressively using variations? For us, we still don't aggressively use variations. But I can tell you, kind of some reasons why, things that happened over the years. It's a pretty prevalent tactic. And then what about Amazon? Why did the FTC go after some little company with a gigantic fine for that little company? And if you go read the FTC complaint, how did this supplements brand get these products in a variation relationship? They asked Amazon to do it through the vendor category manager. So it wasn't even that the brand had the power to put it in a variation relationship or did it on their own without Amazon's approval. Amazon actually is the one who put these products in a variation relationship, but it was the small company who got the $600,000 fine. So two troubling aspects here. One is Amazon does it themselves. Number two, Amazon was in control here, but it was the small company who got the fine. And then the third troubling aspect is, okay, so it's very easy for the FTC to go after and fine a US company, but at this point, over 60% of the large sellers on Amazon are Chinese brands, and there's another chunk, a percentage that are other foreign brands. Are they reachable by the FTC? Is the FTC with equal vigor going after non-US companies? And so it's a very interesting case, something every seller should pay attention to because it could affect them, especially if you're using variations. But what to do about it is very confusing and potentially troubling.
That's pretty scary. This reminds me when the a supplement company about 2 years ago. Do you remember this? They were giving a bottle away through an insert, and they got fined roughly around the same amount, wasn't it? I think it was around 600 grand, because if you give away a free product, I forget what the ruling was, but you're not supposed to do that. Uh, it was that incentivizing. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yep. Incentivized
That was the
reviews, yep.
ruling from them. Yeah. So how many people that are listening right now, I mean, don't put it in the chat, but how many people that are listening right now give away a product or give away something to get more brand exposure, to get that email address? It's something that you really have to consider. And this ruling that just happened last week, wow, because this is a strategy that's being taught to us. That's the scary part. And so where does that go? Does that go to the teacher who taught? And we don't know that. So anyways, it's something that we really do have to take a look at, make sure that we're not doing. And if you're doing what happened here, I'd probably take a second look. Now, they went after a big supplement company. Are they going to go after a small person? Well, that's big supplement company compared to Amazon is probably the same thing compared to me to that big supplement company. So will they go after you? I don't know, but why expose yourself?
Yeah, and I mean, one of the outcomes I hope out of this is that Amazon will set a better example. I mean, one of the odd things about Amazon is a decentralized organization who metrics their employees on achieving their goals. And they actually leave a lot of latitude, whether it's those vendor, category managers who are putting products in variation relationships because they know that it helps them get new products off the ground. Sometimes Amazon Basics, and like in this case, they'll do it for other brands too at times. Or whether it's the way they're decentralized around the world, where 5 or 6 years ago, those Chinese brands in China were actually having Amazon employees, account managers in China, teaching them black hat tactics, basically getting them off the ground 5 or 6 years ago. A few years later, they really started backing off of that. And, there was kind of a progression where, today, I don't think that's happening so much, but it's hard to know because Amazon's so decentralized that, they don't, whereas with sellers, they are more and more trying to set clear policies, but it's coming from a pretty bad base of where they are not very clear about what's allowed and what's not. And then you add in this thing like they're not setting the same example as the rules that they're setting for sellers. And pretty soon everything becomes this kind of difficult situation for companies like us to figure out what to do to compete and survive and yet stay on the right side of the rules and also stay right by the customer. I mean, these things that cross the line into hurting customers, they should be easy. But unfortunately, like in this case, they're hard.
So for any of the listeners, have you thought about where Amazon has not leveled the playing field? Where do they take that advantage where we're not allowed to? We're not allowed to tread. They're treading. I'm just kind of curious if anybody has any other experiences like that or seen anything. You got a package from Amazon Basics or any of their techniques that we're not allowed to do, but they're doing. I'm just kind of curious if anybody has any other topics or issues. So anyways, oh yeah, go ahead, Bernie.
Yeah, well, Claudia in the chat, mentioned, so let me explain why we haven't been aggressive in using variations. Number one is we had what we thought were very good variations that were in the customer's interest. They were also in our interest because they were helping us, merge reviews. But we thought we had a customer focused threshold for where we do that, but then a lot of those over the years kind of at random got broken by Amazon. And when you have products in a variation relationship and it's broken, you really have three ASINs involved, at least three: the parent and then at least two children, and you may have more. And what ends up happening when a variation relationship is broken is Amazon's metrics behind, that they keep track of with those ASINs get confused or lost a lot in our experience. It may, like the child gets broken, one child gets broken off from the parent child, and so then none of the history, the metrics history that Amazon relies on for the flywheel, kind of leaves with that child, and then that product dies. So that was one reason. And then the second reason is the reason Claudia mentions in her comment, which is, there's some advantage if you believe that you've got the oomph, to launch multiple products and get them, the reviews they need and the proper attention. You can take up more space in search by having several strong products rather than just a single product that's in having all your products in a variation relationship that shows up once in search. So it was interesting in this FTC complaint, one of the reasons why that this supplements brand said that they ended up asking Amazon to put these products in a variation relationship was, this was right at the beginning of the pandemic, and there was a gap where Vine wasn't running, and then some other program also wasn't running. So Vine is an important strategy and technique to get products off the ground, to get that initial social proof. And in the absence of Vine, they felt like they could not make these products successful, and so they got a little desperate. But I agree with Claudia that, and this is what we've been doing, is really, just investing in each product launch, knowing that we're going to start at zero and build from there. But if we can do it, we've got more products taking up more space for the keywords that our products are relevant for.
I can tell you a horror story that's happening real time, real life, and this is one of my products. We did everything by the rules. Okay, so all white hat, and this is for my soap products. We launched a new brand, a new look. We hired a documentary film guy that was traveling from Alaska all the way down to Buenos Aires, and he was taking all pictures with all these influencers. We spent well into $100,000 for this new line, and get it onto Amazon. There was an issue. Then there was another issue. But then when it came to brand registry, and we made sure that all the claims were proper, everything for IP was correct, Amazon gave us the approval. And then we go to load the program, and it comes up with a different brand. And we go back to them I'm talking 6 months. So we had 3 months before, so third quarter we launched. We missed out on fourth quarter. Our $100,000 worth of soap is sitting there just rotting, and now I've got about 2 years to sell it, but they're not doing anything. As much as we explain to them that we are a real brand, here is our trademark, they're not doing anything, and it's killing us, So anyways, now we're focused on just e-com sales, off of Shopify, which I think we did a great job on. But our major sales were planned to be off of Amazon. Our repackaging, our 3-packs, our 5-packs, everything we did was to go off of Amazon. And Amazon's cost us probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost sales. And it's I can't do anything. And I have a supply or a support person. They can't do anything. We've gone right up the ladder. Nothing can happen. All you have to do is take a look. I own the brand. And I know that, this is a bit going down that different rabbit hole, but man, they have to realize that we put, as solo entrepreneurs, a lot of money, time, our hard-earned money that we might be taking out, I'm Canadian, but out of our 401k, and they're killing us. You can make money on Amazon, and there's no doubt I wouldn't be doing this if we couldn't. but at the end of the day, they could kill you too. And I'm just shocked at why they aren't taking more of a proactive approach to that small seller who's just doing this as not a side hustle, but they're trying to make it as part of their life. We're building, the small business guy person is building Amazon's business. I don't know if you saw the report that came out about there was not a report, but an article that came out. I forget who published it, that was saying that now, if you take out all the costs, it's really about 50% Amazon is taking out of your pocket for each sale.
Yep, yeah, and it's because of there's a couple ticks up in the FBA costs that have occurred here in the last 2 or 3 years as some of the underlying costs have increased. In our area, a lot of products that were in 8% category for Amazon commission fee have gone up to 15, especially in the last year. A huge percentage of our products and electronics, but it's not a level playing field. Some are still at 8, some are still at 15, even for, products that serve the same purpose. And then the biggie is advertising cost. Each year, Amazon succeeds as the most competitive marketplace in the world at drawing in more advertising funds as we all have to try to, compete to drive the rank of our products. Yeah, and I don't know exactly what price point that study was done at, but certainly there's some price point. It used to be the most the sweet spot or the top of the bell curve for e-commerce was around $20-$25. I think it might be a little higher now, but yeah. And then your situation, Norm, one of the problems Amazon's going to face in the coming years is, there's already been a lot of trust violated over the years, and Amazon's trying to do better. I mean, they're not totally tone deaf, but in like cases like yours, it's so frustrating, that this should be easy, and yet it's not. Why is that? And then the other thing that's frustrating is, if you were a Chinese brand sitting at a factory, you have a second choice that we don't have here, kind of when we're importing the goods. If you're the manufacturer of the goods, okay, you hit this roadblock with Amazon, there's a choice you have. It may not be totally pain-free, but you can basically rebrand your products, redo all, the packaging and stuff, and go a different path with a different brand or something like that. Or in our area, electronics, there's a lot of things that come up where, the product gets unlucky with negative reviews. It ultimately would have been a 4-star product, but the first few reviews come in 1-star. Or you have a technical issue and you need to rework the product in order to resolve the technical issue. Brands that are close to the factory, which for a lot of the products sold on Amazon is made in China, they have a huge advantage, because if anything goes wrong, whether it's an Amazon thing or a product thing, the product's still sitting at the factory. They can totally go a new path to work around that problem. If they get into compliance trouble with the US, they can just come back with a new identity that looks totally different and new to Amazon or to the FTC or whatever. They're untraceable in terms of who they are as people and which company. And so they basically can always work around a problem. Whereas as a Western brand, you have a corporation that's here. When you get that initial factory order, if it's imported, you've paid for all those goods. They're sitting here. They're no longer at the factory. You can't easily repackage, redirect, rework those goods. So how this plays back into Amazon is Amazon's going to watch it, because the percentage of brands that are actually originating out of China have continued to grow each year. It took a little bit of a break during the pandemic, stayed a bit flat. But what we're seeing is now coming out of the pandemic, that percentage of Chinese brands is growing again. The one study that I saw was that it's 63% of the large brands on Amazon are Chinese-based brands, and this is the 3P brands. And so they could hit a situation where that number just keeps going up, and that's dangerous for Amazon to be so dependent on one country and the brands from one country. That could eventually either hurt Amazon's reputation, or in the case of a big geopolitical issue like China invading Taiwan could suddenly cause all of the selection and all the brands on Amazon to be, to be affected by that event. So I think Amazon should be thinking about people like you, Norm, and making sure to support you better, because it's kind of a precious resource having these local companies run by small business owners. And when we kind of get run over by the machine, that's we may go to Shopify and not come back, and that may not matter to Amazon in today's financials, but in tomorrow's situation, that may actually come back to bite them.
Yeah, and there'll be others coming up and nipping at Amazon's heels. And one, for example, is Walmart. Walmart is doing an exceptional job right now, trying to get good brands to come on, giving them customer support people, having an incredible interface, and probably the best help desk or help service that I've seen. They have, if you go to their YouTube channel, they've got tons of high quality, really good videos walking you through the service. Now, Amazon does have a seller university, but I think Walmart does a better job. They even provide, if you go to help.walmart, I think it's help.walmart.com. I think that's the address. If not, Kelsey will post it later. But they have checklists. So what is your checklist for a great launch? They have listing optimization in the back. If you go to growth in your dashboard, you go to growth, and then you go into the listings yourself. You'll see a score. You'll see how to get your a pro seller badge. You'll see how to optimize properly. They're doing a really good job. I think it's better than what Amazon's doing. Plus, they have 5,500 stores out there that they're going to convert, and they have been converting over to these mini warehouses. So I'm really liking what I see that's happening over there. And I know Walmart's growing their retail side of things too, or Amazon is. I know you're right. Amazon is trying. Remember Steve Simonson when he showed the Dear John letter? And the
Yes.
Dear John letters went into he was telling me that they were actually in the lunchroom of the employees at Amazon, just saying why the seller wants to break up with them. I thought that was a really great idea.
Yeah, and it was, it was done with respect, and I mean, I really respect Amazon. I mean, Amazon has really innovated, like Walmart. One of the reasons I like what Walmart's been doing the last few years is basically they drop the ego, and they're just trying to be a fast follower of Amazon, doing the things Amazon have done well, and then also choosing some things to do better. As opposed to 5 or 6 years ago, Walmart was still kind of resting on their laurels of being the dominant physical retailer, and they really were not having any impact on e-commerce, but they've got a long way to go. I mean, there's only a few, like I measure kind of the impact of companies by how big their fulfillment network is, and they haven't turned on those micro fulfillment centers at all. That's been a conversation, but it actually hasn't really happened. We're on Walmart, and we were right in Walmart fulfillment from the start, and they started with one warehouse, and that was only 3 years ago or so, and they have a few more now, but it's a different ball game with FBA, where you've got a nationwide network of hundreds of warehouses. Amazon has 5 to 10 years and probably $50 billion investment ahead of where Walmart is right now on fulfillment. But Amazon can learn, and Amazon is learning all the time and doing things better all the time. So I think it's good to have conversations like this, in my opinion, to point out where Amazon needs to do better, because in fact, Amazon often does take corrective action.
Very good point. Okay, so we've passed the bottom of the hour. For any listener who's heard it, right from the top, we've been talking about Amazon, some issues that we've been having with Amazon, not slamming them, but just here's some issues. It's a love-hate relationship. It really is. For me, it really is. It's a love-hate relationship. But it also makes me money. So, if you're persistent, if you're resilient, and I think resilience is probably the number one factor. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to have that, that piece. If you're not resilient, you might as well get out right now. But if you are resilient, it could be very beneficial to you. Like look at Kevin King. Look at Kevin and Steve had Germ Shark, and they came up with it was a major issue. They lost a lot of money. Like I can say this because he's come on the podcast and he said this, but they lost $1 million in product, and it was no issue with the product. It was all great product. There was everything else that came into play. And he had another losing product when he had a licensing issue that got stuck up in Chicago for 7 months or something. But is he still in the game? Absolutely. So anyways, he plays with a lot more money than most of us in the Amazon world. But my point is he hasn't given up. And so he still sees, even with those big losses, ways to make money on Amazon. So again, at the end of we're at the bottom of the hour, actually way past the bottom of the hour because of my long-windedness. But if you do have any comments or questions, please place them. Also, we have a giveaway today. It's an awesome giveaway. Bernie, why don't you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, I said my brand has grown for 14 years straight, and part of the reason why is we were on Amazon advertising right from the beginning, 2014. And it became so important to the success of our business, especially as kind of a white hat brand. Advertising and external PR, which Norm knows a lot about, are really our two main tools that we have to use. So we spun out our internal advertising effort, and we're fortunate to get the industry thought leader Ritu Java as the CEO running the company. And so we provide both services and software, helping other brands. We're directly helping about 20 to 30 other brands with the services company. And then with our software, it's just over 100 brands, some of which are very big and agencies. So it's over 600 selling or advertising accounts with the software. So what we're giving away today is actually a free PPC audit from PPC Ninja. And what I always say about this is you want to actually, there's a lot of agencies out there competing for your business, and you actually want to take them up when you get this chance for things like a free audit, because ignore the pressure you might get to join as a client of that agency. It really helps you to see different people's perspective on your ad account and your ad spending and suggestions on where you can do better. And I know that ours, coming from PPC Ninja, are very deep and insightful. We've got tools that we run over the account and usually turn up some really good insights of what you can do better. And so we're offering a free audit today.
And it's so important. And some people, they might say, oh, I'm too small, but you're not. And with these experts, like Ritu is just an incredible wealth of knowledge. And if you were able to work with a company like this to be able to have an audit, it is priceless, because you'll be able to get things that you've never even thought of. Anyways, if you're interested, I already see some coming in. It's hashtag Wheel of Kelsey. Tag 2 people and you'll get a second entry. So I see Andrew, just tag a couple of people. And is there Rogerio? I hope I said your name right. If you're new to the podcast, it's just tag 2 people and you'll get a second entry. So it'll improve your chances. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, Kelsey, hit the button. Let's have a word from our sponsor.
Launching products isn't like it used to be. To successfully launch your product, you need to hit that algorithm from all sides. Driving external sales, boosting social signals, and increasing product listing engagement are fundamental to success. Rebate is the first and only launch platform that delivers across this broad range. Get your product featured on Amazon.live through Rebate's influencer program. With this service, your product gets instant exposure to large audiences of shoppers and permanent placement on Amazon Influencer Storefront, which drives perpetual sales. Run a sweepstakes campaign on Rebate and connect with shoppers off Amazon. And lastly, drive external sales with tried and true deals campaigns. Visit rebate.com today and get started with your 14-day free trial.
Bernie, shall we talk about if Amazon is just a pay-to-play ads platform now?
Yeah, absolutely. It's with the increasing amount of advertising that is really important to launch a product, and then some of the other interesting things that people are finding. I'll tell you one of the most interesting things that I've seen the last few months is people are exploring the cost of advertising has gone up so much on Amazon. CPCs have gone up, competition has gone up. There's very few unfilled niches that people have been doing some experiments of what happens if I turn advertising off. And so we're getting a lot of interesting kind of studies out there if you're involved with all the forums and you're in some masterminds of what works with advertising. And the short summary of it is that, and it's hard to do a short summary, but is if you do any search on Amazon, you know that most of the placements are paid placements. And it's so much so that as a consumer, you can't, sometimes consumers kind of ignore the ads and go for the content. Amazon is so filled with ads that you almost can't use that strategy. And our evidence is that consumers don't. They click on those ads that you put there. So in one sense, it's kind of this meritocracy of whoever's willing to spend money to get the product in front of people for a keyword, that's what customers are going to see when they search on Amazon. But how do you stay profitable when Amazon is the most competitive platform on the planet? And so that happens with the advertising too. The CPCs and costs keep going up. And so generally, what I think most people really look at this closely, and us with our agency with PPC Ninja would say is you've got to invest at launch. You got to go with all guns blazing. Everything that you can do to take that product, Amazon knows about this. They call it the cold start problem. Everything you can do to take that ASIN, that new product that has no momentum, and get it up to where it gets its due. It gets its day in the sun to see whether customers actually do like this feature set, this product at this price point. You've got to invest in ads. It's got to be an important part of it. So what we do with PPC Ninja is we kind of get a sense of how aggressive our client wants to be in investing. Sometimes we start at maybe a conservative ACoS, like 80%. Sometimes a very aggressive customer who has bold plans will even do 100, 200% ACoS. And then we have a plan to bring that ACoS down to profitability over about a 4-month period. So you have basically a 4-month period of investment where that you're going to be spending more on ads than you're getting back in terms of profits on those same sales. And and that's tough. I mean, that's basically something that you've got to now put in your business plan for product launches if you're going to be successful. And we find that almost every category in Amazon, unless you find a really nice niche, you're going to have to do that kind of investment in ads. But then on the other side of it, once a product is successful, there are situations where you want to shift into kind of pure profitability mindset. If you're able to get a product to be in the first few positions for a keyword, at that point, there's actually some negatives to throwing additional audience to your product for that keyword. And so you actually want to really scale back advertising once you've successfully gotten a product to rank high on a keyword. Now that's easy to say and tough to do because everything's dynamic on Amazon. You could be, well ranked today, and then tomorrow, the animal spirits of the Amazon market or a competitor, shifts you down. So, and that's why software automation, like we do with PPC Ninja, and there's a number of other great software out there, kind of the top of the industry right now, expensive but very good, is software called PackView. That kind of software automation is really important for executing these kinds of advertising strategies. But in the end, yep, Amazon's pay to play.
What do you think about brand defense? I hear about it a lot. I know we take part in that. It can be expensive. depending on your brand. Well, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, brand defense is necessary because if you do no brand defense whatsoever, Amazon is basically going to take your customers with clear intent to buy your brand. And do you reveal your brand on the show, Norm?
Yeah, Soap Club's one of them.
Yeah.
We've been doing a lot with the pet category, so Paw is another.
Okay, so yeah, so they'll search on Soap Club with a clear intent to buy your product, and if you're doing no brand defense ads, what the customer is going to see is a whole bunch of other brands from your competitors, other kinds of soap, before finally, when they get finally down to those organic positions, which by the way, on most normal screens are kind of below the fold. You got to scroll to see the first organic listings. Finally, now they see Soap Club. So the good thing about the way Amazon's algorithm works is they do actually reward you for high conversion rate. And if somebody's searching on Soap Club, it's going to be a high converting thing for your brand. And that means that Amazon's going to, if you do at least a little bit of bidding, you're going to win those placements, those ad placements on the page at much lower bids than your competitors are. And you're going to get a better rotation of impressions also. So our belief about brand defense is you must do it. Now, at exactly what level is still probably varies a bit brand to brand, and how much your competitors are kind of trying to intercept your customers and other things. For my own brand, we run our brand ads right now at about half the costs that we run the average of our other ads. And we're wondering whether that's too high. We're actually testing some lower points than that to see if we could still get the same amount of brand benefit in defending our brand.
Kind of curious. I know almost everybody that I can see in the comments. I know their brands. Are you running brand defense? Just if you are, or if you're not, just let us know. I'm just curious about it. And if you don't know too much about it, let me know. We'll discuss it more in the Facebook group. All right, I can't believe. You know what? It's almost the top of the hour.
I love talking to you, Norm.
And vice versa. But I can't believe it's an hour. You know, it just seems like we just started. But I guess let's get into some of these questions. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the questions, so let's get into some of these. And Kelsey, if you could read it for the old guy, because I can't.
Yeah, for sure. So don't forget to enter our Wheel of Kelsey too. That is hashtag Wheel of Kelsey. Just type that into the comment sections, and you'll be entered to win a PPC Ninja PPC account audit. So we'll be spinning the wheel in about 10 minutes from now. So make sure you get yourself in there.
Hey,
And,
Kelsey,
yeah.
before you show the first question, I mean, you can keep it up there. It's not a big deal.
Oh, wait.
But I just saw something that Simon said about Andrew Smith. If
Yes,
you want to
yes.
see a really well done influencer program, check out Twilight Action. They're all glow in the dark basketballs, footballs. First, right there.
There we go.
They
All
are,
right.
first of all, extremely high quality. What the guy has done is, and I think this is really great. And I should record this right now for the shoppable video. But anyways, he made it so simple. Packaging comes in, it's beautifully packaged. I open it up and I'm thinking, and actually my wife, because I knew the product was coming, I said, go out to the store, get me an air pump and get me one of those inserts. Well, it already had it in the package. And then a second set of batteries. So I don't have to think. So everything was there. He made it nice and simple. But the quality of that product that he has is incredible. It's very, very good. I mean, if he's not paying me for any of this, I'm just saying I saw this product. And if you are interested in doing something that solves a problem, playing basketball, playing football, throwing a ball at dusk with your kids, this is a beautiful package. And at the end of the day, what did he do? He's got a great brand, so brand quality, great packaging, the quality's good, and the overall customer experience is everything that this show is trying to bring across about people. So anyways, I just wanted to give 2 thumbs up to Andrew with his line.
All right. And let me just go to
And
a
that's
comment
$25, Andrew.
from Luke about brand defense. Luke was saying he hasn't been and he doesn't know much about it. So maybe that's something that we can jump into, because I know we mentioned brand defense, but we haven't had a topic, a day dedicated to it. So that might be a good thing to dive into.
Yeah, I mean, just real quick, what brand defense is splitting out your ad campaigns into ones that are targeting branded keywords or product keywords versus all the rest of yours, so that you can bid differently, actually bid lower. And in order to do, it's tricky to do that because with any kind of auto campaign or broad campaign, Amazon's going to want to actually charge you your full CPC to show ads to people who searched on your brand. And so you've got to use a little bit of negation and a lot of specific ad creation in order to create a well-structured brand defense campaign structure where you're kind of minimizing your spend and maximizing the amount of the screen. Essentially what you're trying to do is maximize the amount of the screen real estate on Amazon that your product is taking up when people are searching for your product. And that's the goal of brand defense.
All right. Okay, so let's jump into some of these questions from Luke. Would launching a product that is an accessory to another product, I already offer both, be worth putting as a child product?
So this is, what in theory, that's not the right use for a variation. Do people do that? Absolutely. It happens all the time. Amazon does actually have a new mechanism for appropriately doing that. It does require that you have a strategic account manager or be managed by strategic account services. And I realize that kind of locks out a lot of people here. So the program is called, let me make sure I get this right. So basically below the buy box, there's an add an accessory area. I don't know if you've noticed that on any of your ASINs. You can actually, if you're in SAS, strategic account, you can actually request to have your products be added there in that area in order to, basically promote some of your accessories along with the products that they are accessories of. The program is called Anything in Buy Box, ABB. So if you kind of ask around about that, maybe, who knows, if you're not in strategic account services, try submitting a ticket and say, hey, I have this accessory for another product. I'd like to get this in Anything in Buy Box. It's kind of an odd name for the thing. But again, it's that box that you see that appears below the buy box of one product that is promoting some accessories that are related products.
Very good. So Kelsey, if you can put that program into the notes, that would be great.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, next one is from Andrew. This is just a comment. Thanks, Norm. The check is in the mail. It's been a bloody hard slog, but you are correct about being resilient. 3 weeks skiing with my kids was my reward. So great.
Very good. And by the way, if you want to see some really great use of influencers, check out the Twilight Action. They've got some really beautiful influencers working with them, like really great recordings. See, I didn't say videotape, Bernie.
All right. So our next comment is from Claudia. From our brands at the top of the search page is an unfair advantage that Amazon has. We have to pay to be in the first spot unless we get organic ranking, and Amazon just puts their product in the first position. It's BS.
Yeah, Claudia is just simply right. Amazon is a marketplace that has its own first-party products. It has preferred products where that from brands that are Amazon exclusive, which, by the way, more and more are just the same Chinese factory launching a few brands to be to be Amazon exclusive brands. Anyways, they give their own brands and these brands, this placement. And so, yeah, I mean, I think whether kind of forced by the European Union and the FTC or on their own, Amazon needs to kind of somehow find a way to get it in their DNA to think about a level playing field and fairness. It's something that has not really been in Amazon's DNA. Amazon's about winning and about competition, not about fairness. Isn't the first thing that comes to mind culturally about Amazon, but because of their very important role, in the global economy and especially the U.S. and Canadian economy, they get to pick market winners and losers, and they, if they don't think about fairness, governments are going to start thinking about it for them.
All right. Next
Okay.
question.
All right, let's see. Just another comment from Simon. I recently put 100 ASINs into 10 variations. I now have 10 parent listings. My catalog looks very tidy. However, in the 2 months of completing this, my average daily sales are down 35%.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what's happening there is if those 100 products had a history, had their flywheels spinning, as we would say, when they were put into the variation relationship, it changed the way Amazon looked at some of those metrics. I'm not 100% sure that it's kind of like a restart, but basically, you had these children, and now these children have a parent, and the parent is an ASIN. If you go look at some of your detailed catalog reports, you'll see those parent ASINs. And Amazon, kind of the metrics get kind of mingled between the parent and the children in that kind of case. And so you lost some of that history that you had built up. And so 35% though, is not so bad. I mean, we've had worse things happen to us when we've either entered or broken relationships on mature products. And right now the market's a little soft, so that you might have had a certain amount of decrease anyway, but that's likely what happened. So what I would recommend is if you are going to do something like that, think of it almost as a new product launch. Try to take some of that mindset of throwing energy at the ASIN, getting traffic to it, building up its metrics. You're going to have to kind of re-enter an investment period with those products when you're, kind of after you've changed their variation relationship, to build back up those metrics for that new configuration of parent-child ASINs, after the change.
Does PPC Ninja work with Walmart?
We don't. We're focused on Amazon from the advertising side. On a service, as far as the software goes, on the services side, we do have Walmart clients.
Okay.
And Walmart advertising is getting better fast. It was not great a year or two ago, but they've been making leaps and bounds in improvements in Walmart advertising, and it's starting to get much more effective.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if you saw well, you probably know about this, but recently they've now allowed you to target parent-child variations, which they weren't allowing you to do before.
Yeah, great.
Okay, so we got 2 more questions in our vault from Tony. I always find the sponsored display ads of being on the competitors page. I always have the worst ACOS for these.
Yeah, because you are trying to steal away. This person has landed at one of your competitors. They probably have some intent about that. They may have come in for a branded search on your competitor, and so you're trying to steal them away. And so, yep, your conversion rate's going to be lower. Your ACOS is going to be higher. But if you do win them, you've literally stolen a customer from one of your competitors, and so in a sense, what the what the market of ads on Amazon is deciding is that that's worth some money to steal a customer. And so what we do with that, what PPC Ninja does for our clients, is we analyze the universe of competitors and we look for weak competitors who have lower review ratings than you, competitors who have higher prices than you. And we focus our sponsor product ASIN targeting on weak competitors where we think we can present those customers a better product opportunity. So that doing that analysis that we do with PPC Ninja of who's weak and who's strong, avoiding the strong competitors. Your ACoS will be very high with those, and targeting the weak competitors is the best way to approach that.
All right, so let me just see. Okay, another follow-up question from Simon. So should I not overreact and deconstruct all the variations? Are variations better than a lot of single ASINs?
Yeah, so the first part of the question, I totally agree. That FTC ruling is scary, but do not overreact and deconstruct all your variations, because it'll do too much damage to the history. You'll probably almost certainly see a drop in sales if you do that. And we need to watch how this situation plays out. I mean, there is a little bit of a special situation here with supplements, where the FTC is very sensitive to the fact that these are products that people ingest. The deception of customers in that kind of area has pretty severe consequences. So, I mean, one good thing about the FTC is I think they did go after a supplements company for a reason, and they might not have been as aggressive with some other kind of product. And we need more guidance from Amazon, frankly. Like, if Amazon suddenly started actually following those same rules themselves, and then you should think a lot harder as a third party. And then what was the second part of that question? Sorry, Kelsey.
Okay. It was, are variations better than a lot of single ASINs?
So I would say it's all about, how much strength you have to establish momentum. If your ability to invest, your ability to get outside attention, the strength of your brand is strong enough to get a bunch of ASINs all well ranked, you're better off doing that. But if you don't have that strength, it can be better to kind of take a set of products under a variation relationship and kind of concentrate your investment in that, so that it gets spread among those. And then, of course, there's the whole reason why, if you look at that FTC thing, that everybody does these variations when you're combining old mature products that have high review ratings with newer products that have no reviews. That's its own thing, and it's very powerful, which is why people are, including Amazon, are so tempted to do it.
All right, and from Chuck, having a seasonal product, was it the right move to shut down all of my campaigns except a few keywords until the season picks back up?
That's a great question. I think generally yes, although I don't like the shutting down totally. What I would say instead is to really reduce your bids, because number one is basically you want to keep your rank up, and so you and all of your competitors are going to have this gigantic drop in sales when that seasonal product isn't in season. But you want your product to be kind of the highest ranked among those weak products, because when you start heading into your high season, that flywheel effect, Amazon's going to be giving you, more organic impressions, and they're going to be giving you more ad impressions and lower CPCs if Amazon's algorithm sees you as the strongest, most relevant product. So the trick is to lower your bids to reduce your out of season costs, but I would say to not go down to zero and totally pause those campaigns.
Alrighty, and our very last question from Simon. If I use my vendor account to edit my listings, will I lose contribution rates and not be able to edit in Seller Central?
That is a great question, Simon. And there's a saga behind that question. So historically, the answer to that is emphatically yes. Vendor contributions completely override everything that you do through Seller Central and 3P. Now, over the years, there's been actually literally internal battles between the 1P and 3P teams inside Amazon, where at some points in time, there have been some special programs in 3P for brand registered sellers where the brand owner's contributions override the vendor contributions. But my belief right now is that actually, I'm actually not sure what the status is right now, and I don't want to say the wrong thing, but let me just say, we as a brand registered seller are still finding cases where we are not able to get our contributions to our own ASINs accepted. And in almost 100% of those cases, That is, well, in 100% of those cases, that's either a vendor contribution or an Amazon's own like seller support contribution. And many times it's the vendor side. So I think the answer to this question is still a simple yes, despite the brand registry programs that Amazon has that have tried to solve this and give brand owners control over their own products. But for some reason, they've never been able to pull it together. This kind of political battle inside Amazon between 1P and 3P, the vendor managers and the vendor category managers, they seem to always win that battle politically.
Okay, it looks like Yanni's snuck in a question.
All right, this will be the final question. What's the difference if the campaign budget is 0.01 and hard stopping the campaign?
Yeah, very little. I mean, that's about the same thing. Amazon will take that 0.01, multiply it by, I think, a month now at this point, and then try to spread your spend. So they'll try to spread 30 cents over a month, which won't even get you one click or one impression. So it's essentially the same thing. But I wouldn't, if you're relating that to the answer to the prior question, again, I wouldn't do that. I would focus on your bids. I would take your bids down, maybe focus in on your exact match, most relevant keywords. And even though it's not in season, I would still, for those few, that trickle of customers for that out of season product, I would fight a little bit for those customers because it's basically like, it's the pre-race where you're getting in pole position to, once the real race starts, when the product goes in season, that you're at the front of the pack, and that still matters.
Okay, that's it. No more questions. All right, so this is the last chance. If you've just joined, we've got a great giveaway today. Just hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, and you will get a second entry. So I guess before we go over to our sponsor, Bernie, how can people get a hold of PPC Ninja?
Yeah, just go to ppcninja.com. We've got an easy contact form. Also, you can learn everything about the software and the services. And we are fast to respond. We've got a global team of more than 15 people. We are forced to cover basically every time zone around the world. We'll get back to you quickly with, and of course, with the software, you can just join. You don't need to get a hold of us to evaluate the software. And we do not ask for Seller Central credentials. We're easy to try. We only authenticate with the ad account, nothing else. And then we're off to the races.
Probably the most important question that's come in so far is from Claudia. Do you trim your beard to keep it the same length, or do you still let it grow? Claudia, I trim my beard 1 fist at a time. Sometimes it goes 1.5 fists. So you have to trim your beard to make it grow. So yes, I try to keep it grow, and I'm trying to go 2 fists longer, and then I'm cutting it off. Or not cutting it off, I can't cut it off, but cutting it, saying that's it, that's it for the day. But it takes a long time. But yes, you have to trim your beard. You don't have to worry about that, Bertie. By the way, Kelsey trimmed or shaved his off. I just noticed that.
No. It's just the lighting here. It's still. I know it's hard to see, Norm. Not everyone can have a big beard like you. But
I want StreamYard to have a beard filter. I'm really disappointed.
Well,
I would use that heavily.
You can put that request in. Okay, so if you are interested in our giveaway today, hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, and we'll get you second entry. Let's have a last word from our sponsor.
I want to give a quick shout out to an incredible group of sponsors to help keep this podcast running. The Lunch with Norm podcast would not be possible without the support of the following sponsors: Post Purchase Pro, Clear Ads, Jeff Schick Law, Rebate.com, Honu Worldwide, Digital Blacksmiths, Netfluence, Extreme Power, and Startup Club. Now back to the show.
Okay, Bernie, you've never seen the wheel.
I'm looking forward to this.
Turn your volume down.
All right, here we go. It is the Wheel of Kelsey.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
Okay, here we go.
Right. Also, from Tony, he says, "Happy Friday. Have an awesome weekend. Have a great weekend too, Tony."
And you too, Tony.
And let's see who this winner is. So let's shuffle this up. We do this every single podcast, so make sure you come back next time if you're not the winner. And please email me, k@lunchwithnorm.com.
Oh, look
And
at
it's
this.
Simon, the hooligan.
Congratulations, Simon.
All right, Simon. You know the drill. Email me, k@lunchwithnorm.com, and I'll connect you with Bernie and the PPC Ninja team. And thank you, everyone else who entered.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Bernie, thank you for coming on the podcast. It was awesome talking with you.
Oh, really fun to talk with you. I wish we need a 4-hour lunch. No.
Absolutely. Let's break it into lunch, snacks, and dinner. All right, sir. Well, I'm sure I'll bump into you at one of these trade shows coming up. But once again, lots of interesting conversation. I thank you for coming on. Have a great weekend, sir. And for everybody else, thank you for joining us today. Hopefully you learned something really interesting. I think these topics we were talking about today, it's just so interesting to talk and learn about these subjects. But let's see, where is the BB?
That's me. Okay, so thank you everyone for tuning in to the Lunch with Norm podcast today, and make sure you come back. It's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Eastern time. We had a great crowd today, and yes, the wheel is not rigged. We finally let Simon win. He slipped me a 20, which thank you, Simon. Appreciate it. All right, so if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you like us. If you haven't yet, make sure you follow our Facebook page. That is actually where we're streaming from. So I know a bunch of you are in the group, but if you go to the Facebook page and like that, you'll get the updates when we go live and everything. So make sure you do that. And also, if you enjoy your commutes, listen to a podcast, make sure you download Lunch with Norm. We're on Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you listen to your podcasts, you can listen to us. And yeah, I think that's about it. We have a question from Chuck. Will we be at Prosper?
Hoping to. And I'm sure PPC Ninja will be there. So yeah, and Bernie's
Bernie's
nodding
giving
yes.
us a head nod. So I think PPC Ninja will be there too. So all right. Yeah, so I think that's it. Make sure you check out the PPC Ninja. Show some love to Bernie and the team over there. And check out our sponsors, help support us. Links are in the description. And I think that's it from us.
Very good. All right, everybody. Join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time. Let's see. The community. Today was an awesome show. We've got tons of engagement going on in our community right now in our group. And that's one of the reasons why we love you guys. The community is just an awesome group of people sharing knowledge. Even before we can jump on the questions, we see a lot of people answering them. So if you want to be part of that community, it's Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA collective. We're growing quite a bit. I think we have about 3,400 people in it right now, which is great. And if you ask a question, you will get an answer, and not necessarily from me, but there's so many experts in there. It's really great. I think, Kelsey, tell me if I'm wrong, but the group, 3,500 or 3,400 people, we've got over 75% engagement, which is incredible. All right. So that being said, we could never do this without you and without your support. We appreciate our community, and we will see you next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Want more great information? Don't forget to subscribe by clicking here. Also, if you want to check out our latest podcast, click over here.
Lunch with